Movie Leftovers.
There we are.
What's up, man?
What's going on, dude?
The usual stuff. Life on life's terms, man. How are you?
Same. Yeah. Getting over a cold.
Good.
Yeah. Getting ready for Easter. Got family stuff going on.
Oh,
Easter.
nice.
So, yeah.
You got big plans or just hard chilling?
Oh, we're gonna hang out with my sister's in-laws.
Nice.
Yeah.
Incredibly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, welcome back if you're joining us live on one of the few places we stream live. This is Movie Leftovers, and we're talking about the Newsboys Down Under the Big Top, which I'm not sure Christian alternative rock band. There really isn't another title. I would say they're more of a pop band.
Yeah, pop rock.
More than like
pop.
Yeah, some rock influenced. This goes way, way, way back though. So if you're a child of the 80s, 90s, and you were a youth group
Early
kid,
2000s.
you're gonna recognize this group. Now, until last week, I had absolutely no idea. I forgot all about the Newsboys, but I had no idea that they even made a movie. And there's very little on this movie. So talk us through this a little bit.
Yeah, so this is a movie I actually had in my collection, VHS collection, back in the day. Background is you and I used to go to a youth group together.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this back in the day. I remember at the time thinking it was the weirdest, dumbest movie. Still think that.
Yeah.
It's just,
not much has changed, turns out.
not much has changed.
Yeah.
The funny thing is like there is nothing to this movie. And I don't mean just the film itself. I mean no history, no nothing. This movie came out right around the time they released Newsboys released their, I think it's a third album, Take Me to Your Leader. Which that album has a space theme. So they naturally married that to a circus movie.
A circus movie. And I think what's also super interesting is that there's only one way to watch this movie that I'm aware of, which is probably how you and I did it on YouTube. Uh-huh. And it was clear that somebody actually uploaded this from a screen grab off of a CRT TV playing a VHS tape, because it has the like burn marks in the bottom and the wobbles and stuff. Yeah. So this was like, this is a deep cut. This is the deepest cut, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to find this thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it has been on YouTube for years.
Right.
Nobody's even tried to take it down. It's just there.
Yeah.
It's wild. And it's not even like their label, which I think still exists.
Yeah.
It's not even like they put it out on YouTube. It's just some random dude.
Well, and I wonder, like, if you think about the philosophy of the takedown and the fact that the Newsboys obviously have a message and a gospel to share with other people, so to speak, like that's their thing, that they'd probably be like, screw it, just keep it up because more people will see it. I mean,
but even then, like, this is one of those rare.
Do you think
Christian
there's royalties involved in this? Like,
maybe.
I mean,
maybe. Yeah. I mean, there's ad revenue from YouTube, so I mean,
sure. Someone's making 13 cents a month. Yeah,
exactly, and the label wants that money. I will say for a Christian film, it's interesting that there's not really. I didn't think it was that super preachy.
Right.
It was more like an after-school special, like, "Hey, we have to save the rec center," kind of storyline.
Exactly. Yeah. My observations. It was kind of freeform thought. Yeah, I'll just read them to you. Anytime there's a tambourine player on stage, I'm in. Right. That was my first thought. And also, I like a good family circus story with a Christian alternative rock band interwoven with clowns, debt collectors, an uncle on a deathbed, and a heartfelt message as much as the next guy. But I don't think there was a reason for this film. Contemporary Clowning is a book I think we both need. That was showcased in this film.
Along with the 8 essentials for the circus.
That's right. And finally, would this movie have been better if it were produced by Slipknot or maybe Weird Al Yankovic? I think either way, it would have been a better movie.
So I would argue,
and we've done UHF on this pod.
We have done UHF. I would argue this took the UHF template, because
I think so.
What they did was they saw UHF and they said, okay, we're going to do a very thin plot to just give us an excuse to do random sketches.
Yeah.
And that's what they did.
Yeah. I don't know. It was really unexpected. I kind of thought somewhere in there would be like some sort of, Phoenix story, right? Someone's rising from the ashes, or there wasn't a lot of anything in here. There was a really thin through line. I wouldn't even call it a plot line. It was just kind of, but every scene jumped around like it was the first scene they shot, and they weren't sure if they were going to like cut it or keep it. And it just felt super disheveled in that respect. So, and then the weird part too, not to like, no one's going to go watch this. I'll just spoil it. But like, there's parts in here where they cut in the director talking to a camera, and they cut in different artists and stuff, speaking very ethereal, like conversations that might or might not be related to the film that you're watching, like, or the people that are in it.
To like the documentary of this movie.
And none of it connects.
No,
like none of it connects. And so I don't know. It was just the whole thing felt like an inside joke.
It did feel like a giant inside joke.
Yeah.
So I did find the IMDb page because I couldn't find even a Rotten Tomatoes page.
Perfect.
This was written and directed by Steven Taylor. Steven Taylor is a Christian artist,
lead singer of Aerosmith. Oh, that's Steven Tyler. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's Steven Tyler. This is Steven Taylor, and Steven Taylor is behind a lot of big Christian groups from the 90s and early 2000s. Even Sixpence None the Richer. Chevelle, some of those. So he's kind of a big behind the scenes guy. But he did this and apparently has a very weird sense of humor. On top of that, there is one review.
Oh, perfect.
One user review, the featured one.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Brilliant. Literally my favorite movie since I was a kid. Dude. And I love that there's 2 thumbs down on that. People read this and were like, nope.
This has got to be a joke, though. Let's read it for those that are listening audio only. I cannot say how absolutely well put together this movie is. It is absolutely hilarious, and the jokes are so well done. Well worth the short hour. Fun for kids and adults. This is my favorite movie alongside Risen, and I would watch it over and over as a kid. My husband got a huge kick out of it too. He quoted a line from the movie as I typed this. Seriously, if you can find it, watch it as soon as possible. This is a hidden gem. And this was written 3 years ago?
Yeah.
H.C. Walks
Oh, yeah, there
Pups?
it is. Yeah.
Wow, dude. I disagree on all fronts. And I think that this has got to be a joke, right?
Somebody wrote this during peak COVID. That's about that time frame.
Sure. Yeah. Maybe they were in a fever state. I don't know.
Maybe. But I mean, I had fun with the movie, but there's nostalgia for me, right? Because
there's nostalgia in terms of like when they go into the musical numbers. Because it's like I remember that bass line or that lick or that hook, but really it's a 4-chord band and everything's on a loop. Everything's a 4/4 beat. So that was my nostalgia, but God, it was hard to watch.
The band that's in this movie is not really the current band either for our listeners. Yeah. Only one of the guys is still in the band, from what I can tell. And none of the lead singers, they have a different lead singer now.
But like you go through their wiki and I think the Dove Awards are like the Grammys for Christian music groups. They've won tons of them, and I think of the 12 albums they have, 7 or 8 of them are certified gold by RIAA and stuff like that. So they were a massive, massive band for what they were. But
they
this
were
just
a big deal.
This movie didn't seem befitting the band even at the time they made it. So I don't know.
Well, what's wild is you watch this movie and then they, every now and then they intersplice one of their music videos.
Right.
And literally the music video has way more production value.
Than the
movie.
And I think, don't quote me on this, but I think the director of the film actually directed a couple of their music videos too.
I believe
so
that's the case. Yes.
It's like, what happened? Like, it didn't even work in the storyline, and you scripted the damn music video. So.
Well, I think that like they had such a shoestring budget to do this.
I'm guessing, but
yeah,
still, it was just very disconnected.
Yes, very much so.
That's the best way I could describe it.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I do like that the acting is very cheesy because they know what they're doing. They know that it's just going to be stupid and who cares. I love that they talk about the animal repeatedly. And then when you finally see what the animal is, it's hilarious.
Or they spend an inordinate amount of time for the bass player to basically play a mop on a bucket.
Yes.
And it was like, that was the lead up. There was no real payoff. Jam session.
Yeah.
In a circus. Awesome.
I love the clowns that take clowning very seriously.
Yeah, that part was my favorite part of the movie, was the clowns that take it. I mean, it is their life, it is their passion. You could tell, cigar and all. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're in the serious business of comedy. But yeah, it was I had a lot of fun with it. It sounds like you didn't have as much fun with it.
I did have fun in terms of like Blast from the Past sonically. Right. There was a lot of those hooks that were like, oh yeah, I remember the song. The end credit scene has the song Breakfast. And I remember that song played over and over and over again, kind of in our youth era.
Yep.
And so I definitely remember that. And there was, some transitional music that came directly from their records that was like, oh, I remember that song. That was like one of their singles or whatever. But yeah, as far as trying to find my way through this movie, it was extremely difficult.
Sorry, man. Sorry I did that to you.
Hey.
Well, tell you what, let's take a break and then we'll come back with our I don't know what we're gonna do with this movie.
I don't know what we're gonna do either. We'll figure something out.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back. It's Angel and Dan. It's Movie Leftovers. It's Newsboys Down Under the Big Top.
Did you say Snooze Boys?
No, I said Newsboys, but maybe I had a run-on word there because it's been a long week.
I mean, you wouldn't be wrong, but
the Newsboys.
Indeed.
Yeah. I should probably go first again, only because I don't have very much.
Okay.
And then I want you to actually take us home if you can.
Okay.
I wrote a few lines. What would I do? ? I guess a reshoot.
Mm-hmm.
You'd kind of have to use the band unless you actually made a movie that was loosely tied to them and then hired actors for it.
Okay.
So I said, okay, maybe remove the thin storyline and just have them play at a carnival themed concert. And I don't know, shoot a documentary about the band. That's what I would do with this. I would actually make a documentary about the band. And there's a lot to talk about. Like, they've had, I think, 9 members come and go. You could talk about John James departing the band to teach ministry, which turns out in 2007, he actually did a interview that said, no, that's not why I left. It's because I went into drug rehab and I just lied about it.
Right.
That's a major turning point for the band. Or you could cover Michael Tate's joining the band, which was probably big for people that are into this genre of music. Michael Tate was the lead singer of DC Talk.
Yes, he was one of them. Yeah.
And that was a very popular band. I think he was the singer for those guys. Yeah, totally. And they toured together and stuff. And so there's a big, world turning upside down and right side up and stuff. Between pretty much 2006 and 2011, there was a lot happening with this band. And I think that would have been probably the period of time I would have taken to reshoot as a documentary. I think the problem with it is that none of the original members, except for one, to your earlier point, are still in the band. So it'd be very difficult to, all things considered, to drag them all together again to go through it. But I do think you could kind of round robin interview people about, band members about that point in time. Yeah. And that's probably where I would drive the storyline. I would probably jump right in the middle of them playing a show at a concert, that they set up that was carnival themed. So you could keep the Down Under the Big Top type of motif, but it would really just be a story about the band why they are doing what they're doing, where they're from, all that stuff. Because this is an Australian band, at least that's where it started.
Right.
They're in, I think it said Nashville at this point. So I think
since there's no really original members, it's
now
based in Nashville.
There's rich points to build a story around chronicling the band in the height of their success, which happens admittedly a couple of years after this movie they made came out and stuff. But other than that, I really didn't have very many ideas because there's not a lot to draw on unless I were to create something where I had actors play into it and then build a storyline around that. So for me, it sounds kind of basic and, it's a little Ugg boots of me, so to speak. But yeah, I would do a band doc, and I would probably try to get an hour to 90 minutes worth of material, and I would probably spend a lot of time going through the changes and the heights and the lows and all that stuff. So that's what I would do.
Okay, so I have a couple different ideas for this.
Sure. Yep.
So if I had to use the Newsboys, if I had to do a direct sequel to this, all right, here's what I would do. I would bring back John, the main character in this movie. I know he's not in the band anymore, but I would bring him back. And what I would say is, even though the circus is closed down, he has kids now. He wants to bring it back for one more show to show the kids what their family used to do, right? Because it's his family circus. So he wants to do it. And he gets all of his old Newsboys friends that aren't in it anymore, as many of them as we can get, to rally and to be in it. Yep. And then he reaches out to the current band. And they also decide, yeah, that sounds like fun. It's Newsboys tradition. We'll be there too. And so now you have a reason to have both generations of Newsboys together to put on this one show. I would make them the performers more so than other people. I would try to bring in some of the original cast if you can, especially those clowns. Those guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, really bring back the clowns, of course.
Yeah. But do as much as I could to make it be just a part 2, one more final show. That's what I would do, and then give John the big send off. Then, canonically that he went to the circus, and that's it.
Yeah.
Now, if I was going to really do something with this idea, as far as like a sequel or prequel no, that's not happening. What I would do though is I would take this framework and I would pitch it to record companies and say, let's get some of your acts together and we'll come up with a very thin storyline and we will make films that incorporate your artists. So like you could do, if you had multiple different artists from different genres on the same label, I would then put them together and I would do almost like a Cannonball Run type thing where you make up a reason that they need to get to the end of the finish line. They're all in different cars. Now you have an excuse to play their music because they're checking out their music as they drive, right? You have a reason for them to be silly and put them in dumb sketches as they travel around the country on their big Cannonball Run, with a thin layer of, at the very end, we have to win the money to save the children's hospital or whatever. Right? Sure.
Yeah. I see. Yeah. Just arbitrary do-gooding at the end.
Yeah.
Everyone gets a chance to cut a video.
Yeah.
Along
they
the
play
way.
Their music into it. So that's really what I would do. That's how I would pitch this and make that happen. I think you could get a label to finance it pretty cheap. You get the label, the artists in there pretty cheap too, because it's self-promotion. And then you throw it on a Netflix or you throw it on some sort of streaming service and you let it live there. And then that will garner interest into the group, into the different groups, and put it in there,
So would you still center this around like the Christian alternative rock scene, or would it be just anything with insert name of charity that you're saving or doing good for at the end here, and actually find independent labels to just produce bands for this?
It's such a basic template. You could do it for both.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea for maybe even like a collective show, like in real life, where they could create content that could work all through this thing, and then the proceeds go wherever, but then they all meet together to actually play an event show somewhere, Joshua Tree.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that for like a
amphitheater here.
Yeah, like that's even the thing is they're all racing to get to the show.
That's the premise I'm thinking of exactly.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. But as far as like another Newsboys, I mean, other than what I said, probably not.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my pitch.
I like yours way better because there's actually some, I don't know, texture to it. Mine's just a documentary that everyone's seen before. It's just with different characters, right?
There you go.
And a different story. So
I don't know if everybody's seen this documentary before.
No, I just mean a music-based documentary. But yeah. No, I dig it. This was, I guess, from a nostalgic perspective, pretty cool overall. This isn't the worst movie we've done, but it's a deep cut, man. There's a lot to try and put together. Women. It's no Planet of the Vampire Women at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do next?
How do you feel about the Chronicles of Riddick?
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that'd be a fun story to take apart.
So are we doing the Chronicles of Riddick or are we doing Pitch Black? Because it's the same character.
Yep.
And then there's Riddick.
And then there's Riddick, which they made much later and is not a very good movie.
Yeah.
I want to do the Chronicles of Riddick, the one right in the middle. Yeah.
The middle one. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Because I think Pitch Black's where we're introduced to that character.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. Let's do the Chronicles of Riddick and see where that goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I heard recently that he wants to bring back that character.
That's what I heard too. We might have read the same article or watched the same clip or something. But that's something that, and it also popped up on my Netflix feed because I watch ninjas and explosions for entertainment pretty much all the time.
Nice.
And so it's like, we recommend all of the Fast and Furious movies or Chronicles of Riddick or.
Well, when you said Chronicles, I thought you were going to go with Narnia.
No, I that's a difficult one for me to get through. For a multitude of reasons, and maybe it is worth doing a movie leftovers on because I think there's a lot left on the table, but I think I've only seen part of that movie and I didn't really have a strong desire to go back to it, although that was years ago. Maybe I could check it out again, but that was a relatively big budget production, was it not?
It was. Yeah, and they only made 3 of them out of the 7, I think.
Was the intent to make all 7?
Yeah, that was the intent.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, let's try that on. We'll try on Chronicles of Riddick.
Sounds good.
We'll dive deep into the necromongers, as it were, and then we'll find our way back to reality from there.
Perfect. Sounds great.
Awesome.
Well, thanks everybody for listening. Hope you enjoyed it and eat some breakfast.
Yeah, bite-sized. Let's go.
Bye.
Bye.